Hello there and welcome to UBC News Tonight, this Tuesday, the 4th day of March 2025. First though, let's have a look at our top stories. Prime Minister Robina Nabanja cautions engineers on unnecessary delays, costs and shoddy work. Opposition members of parliament dissatisfied with the Electoral Commission ignoring violence in Kawempe North by-election. A new debate is emerging on women's empowerment contributing to failure in marriages. And in sports, the NCBA Bank Junior Golf Series concludes the second season at the Uganda Golf Club. Hello there and welcome once again. We are coming to you live online and on air from Broadcasting House here on Nile Avenue. On sign language, it is Senyomo Yusuf and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma. Now, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabanja, has cautioned engineers to desist from unnecessary delays, exaggerated costs and shoddy workmanship. As Philip Aguta now reports, Nabanja said such unprofessional behavior has cost the government and lost trust. She was speaking during the World Engineering Day celebrations at Hotel Africana here in Kampala.
Engineers from Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania gathered at Hotel Africana in Kampala to celebrate World Engineering Day. Prime Minister Robina Nabanja was the chief guest. Lack of integrity and unprofessionalism by engineers in some government projects dominated the Prime Minister's address. She said that deliberate delays by engineers in project plans and reviews are some of the most unwanted behaviors that their body needs to address.
Also noted challenges that threaten the integrity of the engineering profession, such as shoddy work. I've told you about the collapsing structures. They could be done by private people, but we are supposed to supervise them, isn't it? Delays caused by design reviews. I remember fighting with Kampala Capital State Authority engineers. Do we have those engineers from Kampala Capital State Authority here?
She also complained about exaggerated costs and shoddy workmanship by engineers in the country, which has tarnished the image of the ruling NRM government.
Does it need a prime minister to force herself into the consultant's office to have these designs handed over to the contractors? Suppose I had not gone to that office. That now means they would be still undergoing designs to have our roundabouts constructed, and I want to say this must stop. This must stop. Now that you invited me here, let me tell you in your face that Ugandans are tired.
Nabanja decried the delays in starting the construction of the standard gauge railway SGR, which is already in use in other East African community states like Kenya and Tanzania.
From Tororo, Busia to Kampala, on this other side of the road, there is a depression, meaning the road is already failing. But if we can remove all those heavy trucks from the road, that means our roads will last for long, isn't it? But we are taking so long, moving here, consultants, to start on our SGR.
The chief engineer, Stephen Chiwanuka, acknowledged the concerns raised by the Prime Minister regarding the integrity of some engineers. However, he said the Engineering Bill 2024 which is currently before Parliament, will help address these issues.
We are going to enhance the coordination, so that once you have a project, you work with your other, you work with other institutions to make sure that there's better coordination. For example, she has talked about the standard gauge railway, about the importance of doing what, of making sure that the Ministry of Energy is incorporated. So I think going forward, we are going to make sure that there's better coordination.
World Engineering Day is celebrated every 4th of March after being declared in 2019. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Kampala.
Now, the Prime Minister, Robin Nabbanja, has called on government officials and development partners to be transparent in the use of funds allocated to them for projects targeting vulnerable communities. The Prime Minister observed that up to 60% of project funds are spent on workshops, allowances and capacity building events which the NRM government does not support. Nabbanja, who is also the woman member of parliament for Kawempe, was launching the Uganda Refugee Resilience Initiative, a Danish-funded project that's aimed at strengthening the resilience of both refugees and host communities in Uganda.
Currently, Uganda is a host to over 1.7 million refugees, majority from South Sudan, DRC, Somalia, Burundi, making it the largest refugee population in Africa. Uganda's refugee policy allows them to stay in settlements rather than camps, spreading across various regions, including West Nile, Acholi, Kigezi, and others, together with the hosting communities. Now, the Danish government, through its embassy in Uganda, have earmarked $40 million, approximately 145 billion Uganda shillings, aimed at strengthening the resilience of both refugees and host communities through climate resilience and inclusive development.
It's an investment of approximately $40 million or more than 140 billion Uganda shillings. As such, it's both a strong financial commitment, but it's also a promise to the people of Uganda, particularly the refugees and host communities, of our unwavering support and commitment. ORI will also work towards sustainable management of the environment in refugee-affected areas, emphasizing inclusive interventions that promote conservation and restoration of the already degraded environment.
We met newly arrived refugees, some who had fled from Goma just a few weeks back, others who were displaced by ADF recently. They really told us horrific and unspeakable stories. Their lives have been changed fundamentally from one moment to the other. It was really humans with shattered lives who needed basic emergency support.
We sincerely thank the Royal Danish Embassy in Bermuda for this funding that is enabling us to implement the URI project. As implementing partners of the URI project, both Save the Children and Danish Refugee Council-led consortia will leverage on our unique complementarity, skills.
This afternoon, the Prime Minister Robin Nabbanja launched the Uganda Refugee Resilience Initiative at the Danish Embassy in Kampala. Nabbanja has asked government officials and the development partners to be transparent in the use of money allocated to them to run some projects targeting these vulnerable communities.
To launch the Uganda Refugee Resilience Initiative, I must emphasize the importance of effective and transparent use of resources allocated to this project. Like I told you during the partnership forum, we need to achieve more with less. It has been observed elsewhere that up to 60% of some project funds have been spent on workshops, allowances, and capacity building events. And this is an approach that Uganda's NRM government does not endorse. We don't endorse that this time around.
The 4 years project to be implemented by the Danish Refugee Council, Save the Children, and the Office of the Prime Minister will, among others, enhance climate resilience and adaptation through climate-smart agriculture trainings and sustainable environmental management.
I thank the National Refugee Council, Save the Children's Fund, and the 10 local implementing partners for the unwavering commitment to addressing socioeconomic challenges faced by refugees and host communities. The government of Uganda appreciates this and urges you to continue expanding depth and width resources towards the refugee response. It is not about handouts. That's not the way we see it. It is a very timely project, Honorable Minister, because Uganda, as you know, is facing this protracted crisis.
And our approach is unique because we do not place refugees in camps. Instead, we give them land, they have access to our services and opportunities to contribute to the economy of Uganda.
Ladies and gentlemen,
now, the Minister of State for Economic Monitoring, Beatrice Akilo, has directed the State House Anti-Corruption Unit to arrest and investigate several top officials of Terego district and project contractors on allegations of corruption. Among the shocking findings by the minister are the unfinished construction of Nyara Bridge, incomplete work at Mountain Wati Health Center 3, and embezzlement of UPE capitation funds. We have more in this story.
Minister for Economic Monitoring, Beatrice Akilo, has directed the State House Anti-Corruption Unit to arrest the Terego District Chief Administrative Officer, Ochat Moses, the District Engineer, Siegfried Dratele, the Managing Director of Rema Engineering, Ronald Debo, and the Managing Director of Top 3 Company, Omara Samuel, for their alleged involvement in corruption practices related to ongoing government projects in the district. The cow is accused of erroneously paying Top 3 Engineering Company 527 million shillings instead of 336 million without council approval for the failed works on Nyara Bridge.
But the cow went behind the councillors and decided to pay the contractor 527 million erroneously without the council approval and behind the council. And to make it worse, all payments were made to contractor and the contractor has not finished the work. So I directed the State House Anti-Corruption Unit to arrest the cow, investigate this issue, and also the contractor.
Meanwhile, Ronald Debo, Director of Rema Engineering, is accused of conspiring with the bank to withdraw all the money under the bank guarantee and abandoning the site at Mount Wati Health Center 3.
Wati Health Center 3, where government has injected a lot of money to construct the Health Center 3, plus the staff quarters. The contractor, he connected with the bank, picked all the money, and he has abandoned the site. He has not been on site. I hear he came yesterday when he learned that we are coming for monitoring. So I've also directed for the arrest of this contractor who connected with the bank and got all the money and failed to do the work.
In an interview, the Managing Director of Rema Engineering, Ronald Debo, stated that the Mount Wati Health Center 3 construction project is 96% complete and due for handover in the second week of March. It is also alleged that the contractor for Nyara Bridge Top 3 attempted to bribe councillors through mobile money transfers, aiming to cover up the extra money paid erroneously by the cow and silence the councillors.
When some other councillors realized, and the office of the RDC realized that the contractor received more than what the councillors appropriated for the work on Nyara Bridge, he decided to begin bribing the councillors, sending into their funds 1 million per councillor. So he should also be arrested for this case of bribery.
In the case of Lini Primary School, the school administrators are accused of inflating pupil enrollment numbers. The number of pupils in Primary 1 was listed as 290 in 2024, but during a physical inspection by the minister, the actual number had drastically reduced to 47. On the other hand, many retired and serving civil servants in Terego district are reportedly in possession of motorcycles that originally belonged to Arua district following the district split from Arua.
Here, government assets are owned by technical officers, not being accounted for by them.
They were allocated such assets. Yes, we got record from Arua, and we are written to them to hand over to those who never handed over.
Honorable Minister, as we are waiting for the list, we are also using our intelligence, the civilian and the source office plus CID, to look for those motorcycles.
Joseph Fodama, UBC News.
Which are hidden. And that
Thanks, Joseph, for that story there. Now, the Women's Organization Network for Human Rights Advocacy, WONETA, has expressed concern, urging that they are being sidelined in government programs that are aimed at improving livelihood. They are urging the government to consider and prioritize an inclusive approach in the allocation of resources. This was during the commemoration of Women's Rights Activists Day held at WONETA headquarters in Bukasa, Wakiso district.
As the global observance of Women's Day approaches, women's rights activists under their umbrella organization, the Women's Organization Network for Human Rights Advocacy, are calling on the government to consider marginalized groups by involving them in government programs. Naomi Mbambera, the executive director of WONETA, says that the government needs to prioritize addressing the issues affecting women in order to contribute to national development.
To understand our needs and take appropriate measures to prevent and reduce poor working conditions and vulnerability. The government to repeal laws and policies that criminalize sex work and put in place laws that equally protect all workers and citizens to promote respect.
Mbabera explains that some women working as domestic workers face exploitation and do not receive equal treatment or protection, making advocacy for their rights difficult.
Facts are, sex workers are overwhelmingly excluded from the government labor benefits as other workers, which is a human rights violation and leads to their economic insecurities. They are also excluded from labor protection measures in place, work-related entitlements, and government work development programs.
This comes at a time when the United States government has reduced and halted support to some organizations dedicated to women's rights. This has sparked concerns that without sufficient support, women would face severe repercussions and may even be forced into unsafe labor conditions.
Expose them to violence and stigma, which pushes them to work in hiding and in unsafe working conditions.
Women's Rights Activists Day is celebrated every year on March 3rd, and this year the theme is Advancing Labor Rights. Joseph Fodama and Andrew Sebila for UBC News.
Now, still on issues pertaining to women, a new debate is emerging around the issue of women's empowerment. Now, while the subject aims to ensure the well-being of women, it has also come with some negative connotations. Some believe that the empowerment of women is actually contributing to higher divorce rates and a bigger rise in the number of single women. But many leaders and experts disagree, insisting that the causes lie elsewhere. Take a watch.
As women gain more independence in the workforce, education and politics, some critics have linked this shift to the breakdown of traditional marriages. However, a growing number of women leaders and relationship experts argue that these claims are misinformed and that women's empowerment is not the root cause of these social changes. So, if women's empowerment is causing marriage breakdowns or leading to more single mothers, is there a misunderstanding of the issue? Does this mean women are walking away from marriages because they are empowered or because of long-standing issues within relationships?
Women empowerment, in my opinion, does not really connect with single motherhood. Every woman who has children with whoever person they choose to have children with always have a dream and desire that they would raise their children together.
Action on marriages, that some people think they must be in a marriage because of money. And when the money is not there, they are off.
In this argument, the real causes of marriage breakdown seems more complex, involving financial stress, breakdowns in communication, or simply growing apart over time. Empowerment, they say, doesn't make women less committed to relationships, but more aware of what they deserve from a partner.
I think women empowerment in the recent days has just shed a light for women to know who exactly they are and who they want to be and how and who they want to invite into their spaces or allow into their spaces.
I should say to some extent, some women have neglected their homes. Some of them have resorted to being single mothers because of the carelessness of men. Some men have totally given up on their responsibilities. When a woman works, a man thinks his duty is to marry another woman.
Miriam Matembe's perspective is that women could be leaving marriages because they are demanding healthier, more fulfilling relationships. A reflection of societal shifts towards more equitable parenting roles. As women achieve greater financial independence, many are choosing to raise children on their own when relationships do not work out, confident in their ability to provide and nurture without relying on a partner. The idea that empowerment forces women to break up their families ignores the fact that these women are making empowered choices to ensure their children are raised in supportive and healthy environments. Matembe calls upon the public to stop blaming women for the problems that have always existed within marriage.
To ensure that we actually inculcate this culture, the family values that we used to have before.
So, as we celebrate International Women's Day this year, it's clear that women's empowerment is not the cause of marriage breakdowns or single motherhood. Instead, it is a reflection of women taking control of their lives, seeking healthier relationships, and building families on their own terms. In the end, it's about creating an environment where both men and women are supported equally and where personal growth and family life can coexist harmoniously. Jane Nyiramuchia reporting for UBC.
Thanks, Jane, for that story, and would like to apologize for the sound glitch in some of the bytes in that story. Now, with just 8 days left until the crucial by-election in Kawempe North, the race to replace the late Mohamed Sejirinya has intensified. Candidates are canvassing for votes door to door, engaging voters and making promises to secure their support. We have more in this story.
The National Resistance Movement flag bearer Hajat Farida Nambi spent the day traversing Komamboga and nearby areas appealing for votes. She began her campaign at Kanyanya before moving through Chanja, Kwata, Chirugwara, and other neighborhoods engaging with voters. Directly, everywhere she went, Nambi outlined her plans for what she intends to do if elected.
We have gone all day long going to mobilize our members. The welcome has been good. Frankly, I think people here are ready to change to NRM. They are ready to give NRM the vote such that they can be able to lobby. They have put trust in us as NRM such that we can be able to lobby for their challenges, like infrastructure challenges. For instance, Kisamba Road here in Kobamboga is in dire need for tarmacking, and also Clinic Road.
She assured residents of her capability to address their concerns, emphasizing her strong support from President Museveni. Nambi vowed to tackle the issue of property tax, promising to work with authorities for a fair solution for landlords and tenants.
They also have an issue of water. The water that is there is not enough, and they have to pay something to be able to get water.
She also pledged to resolve the growing waste management crisis in Kawempe North, where garbage has been piling up in several areas.
We have been with all the leaders. The district of Kawempe has been here. We have had a unity of leaders, the NRM leaders, and also the local government leaders. We're asking for the vote everywhere to make sure, plus the councillors, plus the women leaders today. So we really are very hopeful that this time round NRM is taking this seat.
As part of her campaign, Nambi announced plans for 2 major rallies which will be attended by the NRM chairman.
We are expecting him, Muzei. We are expecting you. I have here a lot of your ghetto Bazukulu, and also those that are not ghetto. They are really waiting to talk to you. They have a lot for you. So I know you also have a lot for them. So we are expecting the president to come here and pay a visit to North A and North B. I know at an opportune time, the NRM Secretariat will be sharing in detail that program.
Grace Joanita Kalima, a community leader in Kawempe North, emphasized the area's pressing challenges, including water shortages, poor roads, and other social issues. She urged Nambi to prioritize these concerns if elected.
Era bulijjo njagala nnyo okulaba nga nfuna omukisa guno ogutuukiriza okugamba ababaka baffe abagenda okujja otukolera ekkubo erya Clinic Road litwala abakyala okuzaalibwa naye bagwa ku kkubo ne bazaala abaana baabwe, abamu ne bafa, abamu ne bafuna obulemu, abamu ne babulira bubi nnyo. Naye twagala Clinic Road ekkubo eritwala abakyala okuzaala ku ddwaliro bbi nnyo.
With only days remaining before the by-election, the competition is expected to intensify as candidates make their final push for votes. Shaidat Kaye, UBC News.
I will remain in Kawempe North momentarily, and the campaign for the National Unity Platform NUP party candidate Councillor Luyimba Zinalukola in the Kawempe North by-election is still ongoing. Today, his campaign team set up base in Kawempe 1, where NUP leaders led by Chivumbi Mwanga rallied support for his victory.
Speaking to the residents, Nalukola pledged to address key challenges affecting the community, focusing on improving healthcare services and tackling other pressing issues within Kawempe.
Nze nasomera ku nsimbi y'omu w'omusolo n'ensoma n'enfuuka puliida. Nze kitange Serugooti yali talina sobola kunsomesa mateeka bassebo ne bannyabo.
The campaign, as usual, was lively with music and entertainment energizing the crowd.
Mr. Bombastic.
In a show of party unity, Nalukola's former competitors in the NOP vetting process, led by Omar Magala, have joined the campaign, calling on residents to rally behind him in the upcoming by-election.
Kawempe Banachirokole, Kakunguru, Mbogo, Kalule, Chiza, Mbasabe Chintu Chimu, Genakuzo mwezi 13, Mutikingani,
Several political figures have publicly endorsed Nalukola's candidacy, including Kawempe Mayor aspirant Haj Latif Sebagala and Honorable Betty Naluyima, woman member of Parliament for Kiso District. They urged residents to vote for Nalukola, emphasizing his ability to bring positive change to Kawempe North.
N'abamanyi tulina okunyweza Kawempe eno basebo ne banyabo ebyobufuzi byaffe tubize wabbali tutwale tukola muki tutwale tukola muki tukaluluka Nalukoola ebyobufuzi byaffe bitewo ki naye nziza okubasaba nduddeko kakiri mu paaliyamenti nga tuli mu kuloopa ensonga zonna ezizze zibeerawo mu kalulukano era batukakasizza tikulwokuna minisita wa internal affairs agenda kujja statement atunyonyole buli kimu kyonna kyonna ekibadde kikola ki kitukolebwa.
Addressing the crowd, Nalukola reflected on his own experiences as a resident of Kawempe. He acknowledged the hardships faced by many, especially the youth, who form the majority of the population. He vowed to prioritize their welfare and create opportunities that would transform their lives.
Akasiri karuma amataba gajja emyana gizibikira oyogedde basaba ne bannyabo ebizibu byaffe mbikola ki.
I'm Nafka Farida and Jamil Sekaja.
Here's your chance to win school fees for your child for a whole year. Just pay school fees using Momo.
Mkowe High School. Na wana tufunye muwanguzi o MTN Momo. Ya wangu de school fees ezo mwaka mulamba tebereza. Uwulote.
Sanyo byenyina lya mochi wagonya njaganya ngo amali walonze erinyo.
Esisi?
Njani awangula school fees.
Eza Momo.
Eza Momo.
Ezo mwaka mulamba.
Okumala mwaka mulamba ndi musanyu.
Oh my goodness.
Banange muteni mwene yanza ne yanze.
Wanji?
Mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala.
Nkubiriza muzadde munnange yonna gy'oli. Wallahi sasulia school fees for Momo Pay.
Dial *165 *80 hash. Select option 2 for school pay. Select option 1 to pay school fees. Enter the student number and amount and approve the transaction. You will now enter the draw to win school fees for your child for a whole year.
A smile that is white, fresh and beautiful is a smile to be proud of. Discover new Colgate White and Fresh for the whole family with high quality and an incredible price.
Ononye ekifu kya mulembagirawo akazanyo ka spin for cash kakano kaguse ku mutimbagano ku nusu bitano 10 n'enkumi zokka osobola okucacanja wonna wooli tosigala mabega weewandise ku www.nationallottery.go.ug naawe ofuna omukisa ogw'okwewangulira kavuwa buwumbi 2 obwa siringi za Uganda. Kati n'olinda ki? Sanya spin for cash wonna wooli essaawa yonna.
Ituba is the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery. Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win. Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Welcome back from that break, and this is News Tonight here on UBC TV. Now, opposition members of parliament have expressed dissatisfaction with the Electoral Commission for turning a blind eye to the escalating violence and impunity surrounding the Kawempe North by-election. They believe the Commission should act responsibly by announcing the winner instead of allowing innocent citizens to suffer. Now, this comes after violent clashes during a National Unity Platform NUP rally at Kawempe grounds, where party members were subjected to tear gas and beatings by military personnel.
The atmosphere in Kawempe North is increasingly tense as the by-election day, set for March 13th, 2025, draws nearer. Candidates have been holding rallies to engage with voters since their nominations. However, the presence of heavy security, including the military, Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, JAT, and Special Forces Command, SFC, has raised concerns about undermining the democratic process.
Very absurd what is happening in Kawempe by-election. This is Uganda, and Uganda belongs to the people.
Members of Parliament are questioning why the electoral process is militarized, with the use of excessive force against civilians.
It's very, very unfortunate that such heavy election violence is still taking place in the 21st century.
But arresting members, first beating them, you take them for no sufficient cause is not proper. The biggest question here, Mr. Speaker, is the Electoral Commission still in control of these elections?
Over 20 Ugandans, including opposition MPs like Neko Derrick for Machinde East, Nkuninji Mwada, Chadondo East and Abdal Chwanuka, were detained during the scuffle with security agencies.
Mr. Speaker, I raise this because these are people who should be here representing their constituents. But now they are being held by police just because they are found putting on a red attire.
Many foot soldiers have been beaten up, taken away, whisked away in drones. We do not know where their whereabouts.
Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taibwa, condemned the actions of security operatives, stating that such behavior tarnishes the country's image.
What's wrong? Who provoked this? And sometimes, I think these are people who even against the state. I don't think, like that journalist whom I saw being operated in the eye, I don't think the person who did it loves his government. Because they are destroying the image of the government. Some overzealous people. I really ask myself, what would provoke you to get a journalist and you hit them?
Commissioner of Parliament Matthias Mpuga stated that this situation is a collective responsibility for all Ugandans, especially Parliament, to end the culture of impunity.
The pretense must stop. If we are intentional in building a democracy, we must speak to what we are dealing with. If you don't want elections, do away with them.
MP Barnabas Tinkasimile called for everyone involved in the violence to be held accountable.
Security forces should know that they are on the spotlight. These people who are commanding and leading such maiming of our people, they are on the spotlight. Records are taking place. They will pay for themselves.
Top TV journalist Miracle Ibrahim was injured by the security operatives while covering the events at the Kawempe North by-election. His assault highlights the growing concern over the treatment of media personnel during such political events. Rebecca Nantongo, Dan Lugemwa, UBC News.
He paused on Lake Victoria.
Now, officials from the Ministry of Finance have failed to disclose to the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament the source of the 1.5 trillion shillings increase in their expenditure, which was over the initial budget of 47.1 trillion shillings. Now, the actual amount spent was 48.6 trillion shillings. While answering queries regarding the audit report of the consolidated financial statements for the financial year ended 30th June 2024, officials requested the committee to allow them to sit with the Auditor General to reconcile these figures.
The chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Mohamed Mwanga Chivumbi, is to hold a harmonization meeting with officials from the Ministry of Finance and the Auditor General to reconcile figures in the budget for the financial year 2023-2024. This follows a heated debate in the committee where they discovered that the Ministry of Finance spent 1.5 trillion shillings over and above the initial budget amount of 47.1 trillion shillings. The chairperson of the committee asked officials where they sourced the 1.5 trillion, given that the report indicates the actual amount spent was 48.682 trillion shillings.
This as expenditure, but we actually did not have the cash flow. So we drew down on UCF. This is on BOU. So this is, we closed the year with a negative. It meant that our cash flows could not fund exactly what we had committed.
Find that the answer is within there. That's why they have never raised the query. It is their table, let them explain. But by virtue of that, sir, you are disputing this audit report. Statement, he had stated that the Auditor General should explain this is not called for. He would have either withdrawn that statement from our answer.
Although the Permanent Secretary Ramadhan Gobi emphasized that there was nothing wrong with the figures, Chivumbi, upon scrutinizing the documents, discovered that the financials indicated a withdrawal from the petroleum fund.
If that were to be true, so that means your sources of funding of 47 is minus money from the petroleum fund. So that, no, let's go slowly, is minus money from the petroleum fund. That's one source. So that means outside the 47, there are other sources of revenue that you exploited and raised an extra 1.5 trillion, for which you don't want to disclose.
There is nothing wrong, it's just to explain these figures such that we all really understand them, Mr. Chairman. The reconciliation we're asking for was actually to avoid, this back and forth.
It gives a lot of suspicion. So I prefer that they tell us all the sources of money, which will give us information to do more scrutiny.
The Auditor General have done their work. Now, for us to say, let them go and reconcile this is good. It's a good one anyway. But another options, why did they not concede? And then you see a way out.
Chivumbi also tasked officials to explain why, after receiving money in the budget, they still come up with financial requests. During the year under audit, the supplementary request was 8 trillion shillings, which he described as gross budget indiscipline.
Ugandans, gross budget indiscipline. It's not a good parliamentary language, but I have no better choice. This is gross budget indiscipline on part of government, and with the intention of the 3%.
It's not really to use those languages. We sit every single day to make the budget better, and it is getting better. So for you to sit there and you start using those platitudes, it's not acceptable.
And we see in the situation where one of your witnesses, the PSST, is about to overlap your powers by giving decisions which are supposed to be made by you because of the language you have used.
The Auditor General also queried receivables, including loans to private and state enterprises amounting to 7.7 trillion shillings, which include non-performing loans for 20 years worth 0.909 trillion shillings and a provision for bad debts to the tune of 0.247 trillion shillings.
I request that probably, as part of this conversation, also, Ministry of Justice helps us in terms of the recovery, because this seems to be outside our scope. We have the numbers on our books, but indefinitely.
According to the Auditor General, these amounts appear irrecoverable. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lugemwa in Kampala.
Now, the Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, has urged border riders in the Kampala metropolitan area to take their job seriously by observing road safety guidelines. Wamala made the remarks during the launch of the third phase of the Safe Steps Road Safety Campaign, which aims to train over 6,000 first responders in road safety and first aid skills across the country. The program is funded by Prudential Uganda and implemented by the Uganda Red Cross, among other partners.
Over 6,000 community respondents will be trained under the third phase of the Safe Steps Road Safety Campaign and will be equipped with first aid skills. General Katumba Wamala, the Minister for Works and Transport, emphasized that road safety is everyone's responsibility if Uganda is to meet the target of reducing road crashes by 50% by 2030. Wamala cautioned border riders to take their jobs seriously and observe road safety regulations to reduce fatalities.
Road safety is everyone's responsibility. It's not only the border leadership, it's not the traffic officers. That's why sometimes it's very, very funny to see a gentleman well-dressed or a gentle lady well-dressed driving on the road and has refused to put on a safety belt. And when he sees a policeman, he pulls the safety belt and holds it there like that. And as soon as he goes behind the policeman, he leaves it and pew! The safety belt goes back. Whom are you deceiving? It's your life. Yeah? But you want the policeman to be behind you, to breathe behind you, to tell you, stay alive. Sure?
Robert Kwesiga, the Secretary General of Uganda Red Cross Society, noted that in the third phase, 18,000 first corresponders, including border riders, traffic wardens, Uganda police traffic officers, will be trained and sensitized on road safety by the end of the campaign.
With the pressure on, the government has promised to give us extra money to buy more ambulances next year, in the next financial year. We have some of the other partners, the Insurer Association, where Prudential is a member. This year, they are also buying 2 ambulances to support the road safety. In December, we launched what we call Humanity Needs You, what we call the Red Cross Humanitarian Fund, and we are calling upon the corporates, the individuals, and all those who are able to make our roads safer and, among other things, emergency and others, but also to prioritize ambulances.
Prudential Uganda's CEO acknowledged that road safety remains a critical issue and that the company will continue to support initiatives aimed at reducing road traffic crashes and saving more lives.
The last 3 years, including this phase, close to $500,000 to make this happen, and we expect that by the end of this, we would have covered not less than 20,000 border riders.
According to the Uganda Police Annual Crime Report 2024, road traffic crashes increased by 2.4%, with 25,107 cases reported in 2024, compared to 23,608 in 2023. SP Michael Kananura, the spokesperson Traffic Police, acknowledged that road safety affects everyone and should be prioritized.
Last week, also Bodabodas contributed to around 53% of the total road crashes in the country. So Bodabodas, and the reason is that many of them disregarding the traffic laws or rules on the road. For example, those who that have failed to put on crash elements.
Zahara Abigaba, UBC News.
News Tonight takes yet another short break, but we'll be returning with the latest in business.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
Osmosis again. Osmosis tried to pay. Money wasn't enough. He checked every pocket. Money wasn't enough. Osi, we're sorting it. With the Momo, we're sorting it. Osmosis checked again. Money still not enough. He looked everywhere. Hey, but what is going on? Osi, we're sorting it. With the Momo, we're sorting it.
When your money is not enough, we're sorting it with MTN Momo. Use the Momo app or dial *165 *5# to add call with Momo Advance and pay bills, send money or buy bundles.
Alright, listen up. Colocate is on a mission. It makes our gums happy and our teeth strong. See? We're moving forward and making changes.
It's kind of a big thing.
Colgate Herbal uses traditional nature's herbs and combines it with Colgate Science for healthy gums and strong teeth. And we'll leave no smile behind.
When you want to relax your body and refresh your mind, welcome to Hotel La Confidential, Aroa's premier destination for luxury and comfort. The only hotel in Aroa City offering a serene atmosphere, breathtaking scenery. Come and discover our exclusive wellness club with packages that include a fully equipped gym, a rejuvenating sauna, steam bath, and a great sky blue swimming pool. For events, our state-of-art conference halls and versatile event spaces are perfect for hosting shows, wedding receptions, birthdays, and more. Come and enjoy our cinema hall and unisex saloon, all designed to meet your entertainment and grooming needs. Bring your family and let your kids splash around in our beautiful kids water park. We are located on Aroa Pakwachi Highway in the heart of Aroa City. Don't wait. Visit us on www.hotelconfidential.com or call us on 0761 688 181.
Welcome back. Let's have a look now at some business news. And Uganda has stepped up the fight against invasive alien species that are threatening agriculture and biodiversity. Minister of State for Agriculture, Fred Wino Chakulaga, told a high-level meeting on strengthening Uganda's capacity to manage these threats that there is a need for policies and legal frameworks to combat the growing crisis. The Food and Agricultural Organization's country representative, Dr. Antonio Querido, warned that invasive species have devastating impact on food security and ecosystems.
Academicians and researchers have convened to strengthen Uganda's capacity in managing invasive species which are a threat to biodiversity, agriculture and food security.
Both wild plants and crops are equally affected to the extent that this hedge plant, the Baganda kor or kon, the Banyankore kor or yenje, bitter as it is also affected, compromised and killed away. That is how dangerous this plant can be.
The initiative, funded by European Union, the International Fund for Agricultural Development and the Center of Agriculture and Bioscience International, aims to curb the spread of destructive species.
Species include the Parthenium weed, which is commonly used for decorations. It's actually added to flowers and it is used for decorations unknowingly because people don't know that it's actually a weed. It has beautiful flowers, So people make the mistake of actually mixing it with flowers and decorate functions. Then the second weed we have been discussing about is a golden dodder. Golden dodder is commonly known as spaghetti.
The Minister for State for Agriculture, Fred Bwino Chakulaga, emphasized the urgent need for policies, legal frameworks, research and public awareness campaigns to mitigate the spread.
The most important measure is making an alarm, telling whoever minds, whoever cares to listen, that is a problem. Globally, we have very many of such species, but here in Uganda, we have identified those which are the worst.
Food and Agriculture Organization Country Representative Dr. Antonio Querido says invasive species are a global crisis.
Only talking about crops, there are also invasive species that are insects that and then some of the virus that comes in that creates a lot of challenges for agri-food systems here in Uganda. Once they come, eradicate any invasive species becomes a problem.
Dr. Stephen Maguma from the Ministry of Agriculture warned that invasive species are a major risk to agri-food systems and wildlife.
They are incidentally taking over our ecosystems. Our native plants are on the decline to the extent that some of them have already faced local extinctions, which is not very good.
Senior entomologist at NARO, Dr. Kasfa Katono, said they are having community engagement programs to address the crisis.
We have a lot of initiatives in this regard. For example, regarding the management of Congress weed or Parthenium weed, which is devastating agricultural lands, rangelands and pasture lands, we always encourage to have community rearing facilities for these natural entities.
So early detection, community awareness and stricter enforcement at ports and borders are strategies to control spread and protect Uganda's ecosystem. Charity Marion Imnat and Robert Bwaita for UBC.
And on the international scene, we go to the United States of America, where United States President Donald Trump is expected to address a joint session of Congress in the House of Representatives for the first time of his second term in office. Now, his speech is expected to touch on economic growth, along with emphasizing his calls for stricter immigration policies and an end to the war in Ukraine and the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. The president's speech is also expected to touch on the recently enacted tariffs against neighboring countries, Mexico and Canada.
Hello, I'm Anthony Labruta with the Voice of America, coming to you from outside the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. We're just hours away from United States President Donald Trump's first joint address to Congress of his second term, where both lawmaking houses of government will have a chance to hear directly from the president about how he and his administration are addressing a variety of issues centered around, quote, the renewal of the American dream. Ordinarily, when a president addresses Congress in this way, it's considered a State of the Union address. But because this is his first speech of his second term, it's called a joint session. Expect to see a more formal State of the Union announcement in the coming months. In a little over a month, there's no denying that President Trump has sought transformational change, both domestically and internationally. Utilizing the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, Trump has initiated spending cuts ranging from USAID to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Much of what gave Donald Trump his electoral success was built on the downsizing of federal agencies and the civil service at large. U.S. media estimates that around 100,000 federal workers have been laid off since the start of his administration, with more cuts expected over the coming months. In keeping with his priorities in his first administration, President Trump is continuing with his America First agenda for his international foreign policy. Among the notable items that the president has so far implemented are tariffs. Almost immediately after assuming office, Trump placed additional tariffs on China, and most recently calling for an additional 10% tariff on top of the duties already placed. A big question that many were looking to have answered this evening would be whether or not Donald Trump would levy tariffs against Mexico and Canada. Well, that question was answered last night with the president announcing a 25% blanket tariff on all imported goods for both neighboring countries. Expected to be at the center of Trump's speech regarding foreign policy will be ending the war in Ukraine. From bilateral meetings with allies to welcoming Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and a tentative summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin, Trump has made ending the war a top United States priority. Another conflict President Trump is expected to mention will be the ongoing one between Israel and Hamas, where tensions have once again escalated. After welcoming Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu February 4th to the White House, the president will likely reaffirm his stance on the war and how he plans for the future of Gaza. Giving the response to the president's joint session to Congress will be Alyssa Slotkin, a senator from the Democratic Party from Michigan, who narrowly won her election in a state where the president, a member of the opposite party, also won. According to the statement from the U.S. House of Representatives Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, her speech will, quote, communicate that Democrats are fighting to lower the cost of living and protect Social Security and Medicaid, while Republicans cut taxes for their billionaire donors and Elon Musk, end quote. I'm Anthony Laruda for the Voice of America.
Sports news now, and we look at golf, where the NCBA Bank Junior Golf Series concluded its second season in an electrifying grand finale held at the Uganda Golf Club at Chitante. Now, the series, which attracted over 100 junior golfers from different regions of Uganda, highlighted the growing talent among golfers aged 18 and under, offering a promising future for the sport.
Going to be in the country.
This season, the series elevated Uganda's presence on the international golfing scene with 16 junior.
And that story brings us to the end of this first edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for having kept us company on sign language. It has been Senyomo Yusuf, and I am Rukidi Edward Kijanangoma, wishing you a blessed night. But do remember that our second and final edition of the day comes your way at 10 p.m.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Looking for instant excitement? The Uganda National Lottery Spin for Cash game is now available online. Wherever you are, you can join the excitement for just 500, 1,000 and 2,000 Uganda shillings. Don't miss out. Register now on www.nationallottery.go.ug for a chance to win your share of 2 billion instantly. What are you waiting for? Play Spin for Cash now, anytime, anywhere. Ituba is the proud operator of the Uganda National Lottery.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukota Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Averaging 5,000 meters above sea level, the northern part of Tibet is the world's highest wilderness. At over 4,000 meters, the Tibetan antelope rules the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. It's their only habitat. In this vast land, halfway into heaven, oxygen levels are only half that at sea level. Humans have retreated to the edge of this wild terrain, but the plateau is home to 21 types of mammal and 65 bird species. Life and death are intertwined, the cruel and the delightful making casual bedfellows. The most exquisite flowers bloom in this harshest of lands. In the thin, cold air, life clings tenaciously to every opportunity that nature provides. This, the northern Tibetan plateau, is every day stage for drama and wonderment. Halfway to heaven, it's already a wildlife paradise. In winter, the temperature on the plateau can drop to -30 degrees centigrade. For many animals, the biggest challenge is finding water. The Tibetan antelope is no exception. Ice and snow are the most readily available sources of the vital liquid. In this season, when the earth lies frozen, all the animals are driven to seek it out. It's a source of life, but also a source of peril. Gradually, the predators gather. A pack of wolves eyes the antelopes calculatingly. The smaller females are easy prey for the pack. A male Tibetan antelope appears in the nick of time to distract the wolves. Adult males can run at speeds of up to 100 kilometers an hour. No predator can run it down. Only in the cold of December do the males return to the herds to form their harems from the wandering females. This is their rutting season. The male antelopes have stored up their energy all year for this moment. In this coldest of seasons, the hottest passions are on display. In this wintry wilderness, the males try to build the biggest harem they can. But earning the right to mate is not easy, and there's always strong competition. Adult male Tibetan antelopes can weigh up to 40 kilograms. Their half-meter-long horns are like daggers. This apparently casual sizing up will shortly lead to a clash that'll be a matter of life and death. No one dares drop their guard. It's a case of winner takes all. Every year there are several fatalities among the bucks. Only the winners will pass their genes to the next generation. Once there were more than 1 million Tibetan antelopes on this vast plateau. Recent conservation efforts have seen numbers restored to over 200,000. "1,000 kilometers to the northwest, the Turpan Depression in East Xinjiang's Gobi Desert is in places 154 meters below sea level. It measures the 4th lowest altitude on the land surface of the planet. The landscape is populated by shifting dunes blown by the wind, which can grow up 500 meters tall. In summer, the surface temperature of the sand can reach 80 degrees centigrade. The searing heat is a threat to life and limb for all creatures, great and small. But in the evenings, the heat quickly dissipates and all kinds of renegades emerge from hiding. A species of gecko unique to China, Teratoscincus roborowskii, is among them. Small as it is, it swiftly demonstrates how it earned its common name in Chinese, the sand tiger. The Turpan Basin is the driest place in China. The annual rainfall is just 10 millimeter. In this arid ocean, the sand tiger has mastered the art of finding what water there is to be had. Every day before sunrise, when the desert temperature plunges to its lowest, water vapor condenses on the branches and leaves of small plants. These dewdrops are like clear spring water to a thirsty sand tiger. Thus, the desert is far from bereft of life. Over the vast stretches of yellow sand, these plants grow stubbornly on each tiny oasis for those who know how to take advantage of what they offer. From the far northwest to China's southernmost reaches takes us from sand to sea. The South China Sea covers an area of 3.5 million square kilometers, and its warm tropical waters are home to a magnificent array of aquatic life. More than 1,500 species of fish and over 250 kinds of marine mollusks can be found here. The ideal setting for the richest gatherings of all these extraordinary creatures is the coral reef. Corals are marine invertebrates which live in densely packed colonies. Tropical corals typically live at a depth of less than 40 meters in order to benefit from sunlight, which produces photosynthesis in the symbiotic single-cell organisms that live within their bodies. The reefs produced by the fast and freely growing coral become sanctuaries for a myriad of other exotic inhabitants. One evening in late April, a team of marine biologists puts out to sea. They have been preparing all year for this moment. It's the only opportunity they will have until another 12 months pass. They plan to dive a reef on the one special night of the year when the corals will release their eggs and sperm into the water in an event known as synchronized spawning. Diving at night is tricky. Underwater currents and poor visibility mean the divers can easily get lost. The dangers are not inconsiderable. As they reach the site of the reef, the divers make their final preparations. And then take the plunge into the inky depths. coral's synchronized spawning is triggered by a succession of environment cues, including rising water temperature, day length, the moon's effect on the tides, and finally, the setting of the sun on the day in question. In major spawning events, the whole sea would become clouded for miles around. The fertilized eggs, called planula, will be carried on the currents to found new colonies, or to provide a feast for a horde of hungry mouths. The scientists collect their samples. From these, they'll be able to study coral growth from scratch in their laboratories and enhance mankind's understanding of how to respect the wonders of the ocean. Spring arrives late on the northern Tibetan plateau. It's June before the snow and ice melt to form streams and rivers. Lake water accounts for a quarter of its surface area. The plateau overall gives rise to the headwaters of many of Asia's great rivers. The warming heat of the sun reanimates the lizard basking on the rocks. Creatures which have been hibernating for 6 months emerge to see the light of day. The marmot ends its sojourn underground. The plateau is lush, green and full of delectable delicacies. The animals stretch and gambol in newfound freedom. Warning cries cause a sudden panic around the grassy burrows. The marmot's underground palaces usually have several entrances. Once inside, they'll no longer be easy meat for any passing predator. The disappointed fox must slink away to think again. By the end of June, after a journey of hundreds of kilometers, the female Tibetan antelopes finally reached their calving area, the south of Kunlun Mountains. To have made it this far is already something of a miracle, overcoming lack of food, mountains and rivers, diseases and venomous pests. Why the Tibetan antelopes make this journey is a secret yet to be unraveled. The exhausted does finally get some rather temporary rest. They've been carrying their offspring for 6 months and are now about to give birth. However, the respite from danger is but slight. Predators have been following the trail of the migration. The Tibetan brown bear is the largest predator on the plateau. It's an opportunist with a large appetite. It can't afford to miss any chance to feed. The bear builds up its energy near the calving site, waiting for whatever bounty comes its way. Out on the expanse of grassland, the does seek to conceal their newborn in the vegetation. weather on the plateau is highly changeable. This calf has been born in a downpour. There's little cover that can protect it from anything. By instinct, it crouches in the grass to avoid predators. Its mother will keep her distance to avoid attracting attention to it. It must learn to stand and walk within 20 minutes. Only in this way will it find its mother and return to the herd. If it fails to do so, it will soon fall victim to a hungry predator. The baby antelope takes its first faltering steps. It will then embark on a 500-kilometer journey home. Yunnan, in the deepest southwest of China, is famous for its production of tea and medicinal herbs. Living in the mountains, the Dai people are skillful. They decorate their brocaded cloth, handed on from generation to generation, with familiar animals. One such often appears in the brocade, the unmissable Asian elephant. Asian elephants weigh up to 5 tons. They live in the primeval jungle. Each consumes 30 kilograms to 60 kilograms of food every day. Wild elephants usually live in family units. Up to around 10 elephants form a herd. They need a large area to forage, but their rainforest habitat is constantly shrinking. Sometimes the herds have to cross into human territory as they forage for food. Bananas and sugarcane are prized by both man and beast. This can create a dangerous conflict. Farmland and tea plantations expand into the mountains year on year, eating away at the elephant's habitat and natural sources of food. As their living space is squeezed, they're forced into greater contact with the human world. Wild Asian elephants are aggressive, and any encounter with them is dangerous. There are regular reports of wild elephants injuring or even killing humans. As the conflicts intensify, both sides need protection from each other. Forest Ranger Li Duming's job is to track and monitor the elephants wherever they roam. Every day he goes deep into the jungle looking for wild elephants. He informs local villagers if there are elephants in their area. The elephants will often travel 30 kilometers a day in search of food. You can never be sure where they'll turn up next. His quest takes Li Duming over mountains and down steep ravines. Although elephants are huge, they move surprisingly quietly through the deep forest. The thick foliage makes it difficult to track them. However, elephants love water, and wherever possible, their trek will take them at some point to a riverbank playground. Man can level mountains and change the course of rivers, but in the face of the Earth's largest land animal, he is slow, weak, and vulnerable. Today, the villagers, aided by Li Duming, must learn how to live safely and peaceably with these wonders of nature. In the summer, pika on the northern Tibetan plateau begin to carve out new nests. Under a thick divot, each pika family will excavate its own complex cave system. The plateau pika is the largest grassland population in the world. They have an astounding reproductive capacity and do so all summer long. Over the course of a season, a female pika can have 2 litters with up to 10 cubs. The steppe cat is the mystery cat of the cat family. Rarely seen, it scans the grassland in search of prey with incomparable patience and alertness. Barely larger than a domestic cat, in the end it is a deadly killer, which at least goes some way in holding down the exploding pika population. On the roof of the world, the harsh environment and the tenacity of life are in delicate equilibrium. Nature is revealed in its glory as cruel and beautiful in equal measure. Wolves sit at the top of the food chain. The wild yak is the largest animal on the plateau. When the wolves attack, the yaks quickly herd together to protect their calves. An adult wild yak can weigh up to 500 kilograms. A wolf is less than 1/10 of that. However, if the wolves can pick off one unlucky calf, their job will be done. There's little the mother can do now to protect her wounded calf from being harried to death. She stands guard over its corpse for a while, but in the end she will have to leave, and the wolves will have their feast. The notice of the death travels on a breeze. Scavengers closely follow the footsteps of the hunters. First come the noisy ravens. Then the silent vultures join the party. One young life sustains many others. On the desolate plateau, nothing is wasted. All lust and life must pass away to be reborn anew another day. The pattern of life and death is well established on these remote grasslands. Each of the creatures who live on the high plateau will play their part. The Tibetan antelope calves suck at the nutrient-rich milk and absorb the energy their mothers have drawn from the grass. course is set, they'll have to join the great migration of female antelopes from the lower altitude birthing ground back to the high plateau. It's a journey of several hundred kilometers. More than half of the calves will die along the way. Every year, more than 100,000 individuals make this trek across the northern Qinghai Tibet Plateau. It's one of the wonders of nature. Only the strongest will survive. It could be no other way, such is the grand sweep of nature. China's mountains make it an incredible country. The more than 9,000-meter vertical drop endows it with the world's most diverse landscape and species. Among the mountains lie nature's hidden secrets.